Hi, everybody. I'm excited to be here with you today. So, thank you for joining me. I am Heidi, and I am going to talk to you about gifts of happiness. And I used to be the host of a radio talk show, and it was called Heidi's Lemonade Stand. I know that sounds super random and it's a weird spelling and everything. It's not about a drink. It is about lemonade when you take life's lemons and you make lemonade. And so I started this radio talk show back in 1999. And then I have gone on to now make it a podcast. And so I am fortunate to be able to interview people all across the world and hear their lemon to lemonade story. And now I call them my lemonade makers. And so I'll be sharing with you today some of the stories that I have heard over the past couple of years that I've started my podcast. I took the radio show, took a break for a while, and then started it again as a podcast of Heidi's Lemonade Stand. So you're going to hear me tell stories about my lemonade makers, and that is where that comes from. It's a very inspiring show where people just have overcome really hard tragedies and trials, really terrible lemons, and how they are making the world better and making a difference, starting support groups, writing books, whatever it is that is improving the world and making their lemonade and sharing it. So that's what that's about. Okay, well, let's get started with gifts of happiness. So we're going to break this down, and each letter is going to stand for something that I'm going to talk to you about today. So the first part of gifts is the letter G, and that stands for gratitude. So for gratitude, one of my lemonade makers had the best story. She was a mom to 5 kids, married, churchgoer, running her own business, doing all the things, really busy doing all the mom stuff. And she was working for a real estate company, and she got involved in some real estate fraud. This was back in 2008 and 9 when that was a really tricky thing. She actually got in trouble and she got sentenced to prison for doing this real estate fraud. And luckily, fortunately, unfortunately, she had a few weeks to prepare before she went to jail. And it gave her the opportunity to kind of get all of her life in order. And she realized the little things. She realized how grateful she was to be able to take her kids to the carpool, take them to school. She realized how grateful she was to be able to make them dinner and go grocery shopping. This was all ending. She was going to prison for the next 7 years, and she wasn't going to be able to see her children. And she was just relishing in those day-to-day little things and finding so much gratitude in just making dinner for her family. And it really taught me a big lesson when I heard her story. She's now out of prison and speaks about her experiences and her change and the things that happened to her in prison. But really, the biggest thing is to have gratitude for the small stuff. Like, we don't even think, it's like just get through the day and just get it done. And you get bugged with all the to-dos that you have to do as a mom or as a wife or as a woman. And it's like, what if we just stopped and were grateful for all those little things? Because we just don't know. She knew how much time she had. She knew she only had a few weeks. But all of us don't know how much time we have. So let's just not wish it away. Let's enjoy it and be grateful for it. So I'm going to give you a few tips here on how to improve your gratitude in case you aren't grateful enough. So let's talk about some tips to improve our gratitude. The first thing I like to recommend is that you look for the miracle, because everything is a miracle and it's amazing of what we're doing. It's amazing where you are right now in your life and where you live and where you work and what you do and who you're around. It's all truly a miracle if you step back and look at it. And so we can find things to be grateful for because it's all a miracle. The next thing I do is called the Daily Award. This I love because it was something I challenged myself back last year. And for the year of 2022, I was going to give a daily award. And I was going to do it the whole year, starting January to December 31st. And I had a really strong feeling that I needed to do this. I needed to focus on finding something good in every day. So I call it my daily award. And what I would do is had a reminder on my telephone and my cell phone, and it would go off every day at noon, and it would just remind me to give my award. And so I would think, have I seen the award yet today, or do I still have yet to see it? And I would spend the rest of the day looking for that award of the day. Let me give you some examples. So, an award for the day, like when I go on a walk and I see somebody's really beautiful yard with their flowers and the grass is so pretty, and I just be like, that gets the award for the best yard. Or another time, my little grandson got attacked by a swarm of bees, but the award for the day was that he wasn't allergic to bees. And I was really grateful for that. So that got the award. There's other days when you're just driving down the road and you see a dog with its head out the window of a car, and it's just this cute little fuzzy dog. And you're just like, that gets the award for the cutest dog with its head out the window today. Do you see what I'm saying? Like, you can start looking for things in your life and looking for things around town or in your home. And it really helped every day to like be like, okay, what was my award for today? It was just one little award. And it really helped because there was the first couple of weeks in January and I just started doing this. I was really spending a lot of time contemplating, like, what's my award for today? There was one day when my son, who's 28, his best friend was killed in an auto accident. And we were at the funeral that day. And that was a tough day. It was a lot to try to find gratitude in. That was very difficult. But I had to give the award to my son for his strength of being a pallbearer at his best friend's funeral. My son, his wife also lost a baby like around that same time, like the week before that. And, so you're able to find the award in his strength and find the award in the closeness of our family and the support of doctors or whatever it is. But there is a way to give an award every day. Just look for that. So I challenge you right now, maybe set a reminder on your phone and try to take your time each day to think of what your award is going to be. And then the next hack, the next tip to be able to find more gratitude is there's a saying, it's yes and at least. So if something happens in your life and it could be really hard, it could be not super hard, it could be kind of hard, just a little challenge in your day. And you can think to yourself, yes, this happened. And at least, and then you fill in the blank. What else is about it? What else can you think about this? So for example, your clothes washer breaks down, right? And so now you can't wash your clothes. So yes, the clothes washer broke down. And at least, right? And start brainstorming. And so at this point, I would have you like yell out, like, what are some ideas? Yes, your clothes washer broke down. And at least what? What else? And at least you have a neighbor you could go to use their clothes washer. And at least you have a laundromat you can take your clothes to. And at least you have a savings account and you can go buy a new washer. And at least you have family nearby and you can use their washer, right? There are ways to look at the good part of this. So I want you to really start thinking, like really get some ideas. And you can make it silly and crazy, yes, but at least none of my clothes were in the washer when it broke down and I don't have a pile of wet clothes. Or yes, and at least, I've always wanted to upgrade the washer model and get the latest electronic fancier one, whatever it is. So keep that in mind when something happens, because we tend to want to spiral. Like if we have a negative thing in our life, we tend to just go spiraling down of like, okay, the washer broke down and now we can't, I'm late to work and then I stubbed my toe and then my clothes ripped and then the dinner was burned, and you just start spiraling, seeing all the negativity. So we want to say, yep, that happened. Let's acknowledge it. And at least there are some great blessings in our life still. There's things to be grateful for. One warning on this is don't ever say it to anyone else. This is just for you only. Yes, and at least. You certainly don't want to say it if someone comes to you and said, wow, I've had this really hard tragedy, this really terrible thing. My grandma just died last night. You wouldn't say, yes, and at least she was old and it's okay because she lived a life. No, 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 no. Don't say that. So keep your yes and at least to yourself. You can do it as your own little thing in your brain to think about. And it really will help change the situation. It really will make things better. I can promise you that. I've tested it. I do it all the time. Anything happens and I'm like, I got a rock chip in my windshield. I'm like, yep, but at least it didn't shatter my windshield and at least it didn't scratch the paint and at least I could still drive my car and at least, right? You just keep going. So it works and it's a fun tool to be able to use. So I challenge you to do that. So let's try to enhance our gratitude. Let's see what we can do to make things a little bit higher on our level of gratitude. So that's G and it's gratitude. I'm going to be talking to you about a few other things, and I should have said at the beginning, please don't get overwhelmed. Like, just pick one thing out of the things I say today. I don't want you to feel like you have to make all these changes and do all these big things and that you're not happy enough and that you're not good enough, because that's not what I'm trying to say. Just think of one thing. Something will ring true to you today that I say, and you'll go, oh, I could do that. I can do that one little change. So work on that. Just pick that one little thing. Okay, so I'm going to go on to I. The I in gifts is image. And as we know, image means basically our inside and our outside of our body. It's everything that makes us who we are. One of my lemonade makers had an amazing story of when she was 2 years old and she was out near a fire pit. They were burning some roof shingles outside, and she got a little too close and she threw a roof shingle in to the fire pit, and the sparks came out and caught her little dress on fire. It burned 70% of her little 2-year-old body. And she spent the next 20 years having surgery after surgery to repair all the damage on her whole body from her head to her toes. Here she is in her 20s now, and her doctor comes to her and says, okay, we can do one more surgery. And she tells her that there's an opportunity to be able to fix her ear. Her ear was so severely damaged in the fire that it looked like a little raisin on the side of her head, just this little shriveled up little raisin. And the doctor said, we can change that. We can put a prosthetic ear on and you'll go through this surgery and then you'll look like everyone else, basically, right? And she thought about it. It was very tempting. I think it would be. And she realized, she's like, so wait a second. I have to go through another surgery, all the pain and healing and the process of going through this, just so I can look like everyone else, so people will feel more comfortable looking at me. She's like, no, I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to do another surgery. It doesn't make a difference. And in fact, she took it a step further. She actually likes her little ear. She says, I like my ear because nobody else has an ear like this. This is unique to me and it makes me who I am. So I actually am going to keep my little ear. Wow. When I heard that story, I was so impressed by her and the way she just loves and embraces her body. And I thought, okay, I need to do better about this. I need to start appreciating my body and the miracle it is and the amazing things that it can do. So maybe you're like me, and some days you just don't want to look in the mirror because you don't like what you see. And I was bullied really bad when I was younger, like really bad, and told how ugly I was. And I hear that in my head. And so I look in the mirror and I see that ugly little girl. And so I definitely am working on trying to appreciate my body and appreciate the inside and the outside. And so I just want to challenge you to try some of these things as well. This is stuff that has helped me over the past little while. First of all, realizing that we don't have to like 100% of our body. That's okay. That's okay if you have something you don't like. I have several things I don't like about my body. We don't have to like everything, but start focusing on the things you do like. Maybe there's something I had to start out with just my fingernails, I'm like, I have good fingernails. And then I go to like, well, I have eyelashes, and you go from there, work up from there. And so each day each week, I actually would write on my mirror with a dry erase marker of like my focus for the week. Like, okay, this week I'm going to focus on liking my fingernails and appreciating my fingernails. And then the next week, I'm going to appreciate my smile or my teeth or whatever you can do from there, right? And just write it down on your mirror. And each week, just focus on having gratitude and appreciation for the things you do like in your body. And don't beat yourself up over the things you don't like, because we can get really caught up on that. And that's not fun. And that's where we can just stand proud like the bearded lady in The Greatest Showman and stomp our foot and say, this is me. This is me. This is who I am. This is what I look like. Just take it, right? So we want to just appreciate what we have. And a part of embracing who we are and what we look like is just really taking care of ourselves. Like, there are things you actually can do to feel better. We can take care of ourselves by drinking more water, by getting a little bit of exercise. I know the E word, nobody loves that. But what if you like park further away at the grocery store just so you can walk the whole parking lot? My kids tease me. They're like, "Mom, why are we parking clear out here?" Like, we're going to walk, just get that little extra exercise in. There's little things you can do. Like I said, just pick one thing. But I thought I was doing really good about my water consumption. I thought, I'm getting those 8 glasses a day. I fill my water bottle up several times a day. I'm sure of it. And I was pretty proud of myself until one day I had a little tally mark that I was keeping every time I filled my water bottle. And I needed to fill it 8 times to get the amount of water that I needed. And by dinner time, I was proud to tally mark and noticed I'd only written 2 other tally marks. I'd only filled my water bottle 3 times that day. And I'm like, okay, obviously I'm not getting the amount of water I thought I was. So I challenge you to really look like, do we carry the water bottle around with us all day and never refill it? Because that thing should be filled like 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 times a day. So little things like that. Work on taking care of your body. Get your vitamins. Go to the doctor. Get some medication if you need it. It's okay. Take care of your body. It's all you have. So work on taking care of it, getting the nutrition, eat some veggies once in a while and cut back on stuff you should cut back on. Exercise a little bit more. Check your water intake to make sure you're getting enough water. Talk to a doctor about some medication. Check your hormones, whatever it is. But enjoy this body that you have. It's all you've got. Embrace it. And at that point, if you're still not loving your body too much, the best thing you can do is think about other people, random acts of kindness. That will elevate you to not focus so much on yourselves and the things that you're not loving about your own looks and about yourself, and be able to go out and serve someone else. Do a little random act, pay for somebody, help somebody, serve somebody, let somebody go in front of you in line, write a nice text to someone, write a thank you card, call a manager of a restaurant or a place you were just at and tell them how good their employees were, whatever. Just do a little random act of kindness, and that will elevate your mood and help you feel better about yourself if you're not loving everything about yourself. Does that make sense? Okay. All right. So there's several things. Don't get overwhelmed. Just think about those few things to help improve your body image and how you feel about yourself. Okay. We're on to the next thing. And speaking of taking care of yourself, water. There you go. Had to take a drink really quick. My body told me that's what I needed. Listen to our bodies. They know what we need. They know when we need rest. They know when we need food. They know when we need to move. They're pretty magical that way. So listen to your body. Okay. The next one in our gifts is the letter F, and it stands for forgiveness. This one is a tough one. It's probably one of the hardest things that we struggle with, I think. And we struggle with it because we don't want to do it. We think that if we forgive someone, that it means what they did to us was okay. And I'm telling you right now, it's not. That's not what forgiveness is. That's not what it means. Forgiveness is freeing you from that hatred, freeing you from that burden and that pain that you're feeling about what somebody else did. So, one of the stories, I have some lemonade makers that have gone through some amazing forgiveness transformations. But also, the one story that rings true to me is not one I've interviewed yet. I want to still interview her. Her name was Elizabeth Smart, and she was a 14-year-old girl here in Salt Lake, in Utah, that was kidnapped by knife point from her home, dragged up in the mountains, and for 9 months was done terrible things to her that you wouldn't wish upon even an adult, let alone a 14-year-old precious child. Terrible, terrible things, the way she was treated. After 9 months from being kidnapped, she was rescued. She was found. And her mom had the best advice I've ever heard that I replay in my brain every day, was she said, "Elizabeth, that man that kidnapped you took 9 months of your life. 9 months you will never get back. You can't go back and have those 9 months again. But don't give him one more day. And if you think about that for a minute, that means don't carry it into tomorrow. Don't live your life small. Don't not do things. Don't just lay in bed and curl up in a ball and not accomplish anything because of what happened to you. You get to decide, and you get to decide where you're going to give your power and keep your power. And so forgiveness is so important because it holds us back. It drags us down. I always, when I'm with somebody in an audience, I always use this example, and you probably can't see it. Let's see. Okay, here's my water bottle. Okay. So if I sit here holding this water bottle, okay, I can hold it for quite a while. It's not that heavy, but what is it preventing me from doing? Think about that for a minute. My hand is being used to hold this, to carry this. I want to show everybody this water bottle. I'm going to hold it out here and let everybody know I have this water bottle. I am not setting it down. What am I proving by doing that? So, this water bottle represents like our hate and our pain from an experience we've had, right? It's preventing my hands from being free to do other things. It's preventing my mind from being focused on anything else. I have to look at this water bottle all day long. And before long, it's going to get heavy and it's going to get harder to carry. And it's going to drag me down. It's going to affect my health and my posture and everything about me. My face, I won't be able to enjoy anything because I'm going to be focusing so much on the pain of holding on to this. But what if I set it down? So I set it down. It's right here in front of me. It's there. It's still there. But my hands are free. My mind is open. I'm not concentrating it on anymore. I'm not looking at it anymore. It's not holding me back. I'm able to go forward and not be burdened by it. Still there. I can pick it up again if I need it. That's what forgiveness will do for you. So I want to challenge you. If you're hearing this right now, there's somebody you need to forgive. And it sucks. It stinks. It's not fun. What they did to you, there's no excuse. There's no reason. But it's not about that person anymore. It's about you. And you need the freedom of the forgiveness. Who cares about them? In fact, here's some tips right here. Usually, people that hurt us are people that we're closest to. That's why they hurt us. We let them in and they do something that causes us pain. And it's really hard to forgive that. So we want them out of our lives, and that's fine. And I think that's totally justified. And you need to stay away from toxic people. Absolutely. And in some circumstances, there is an appropriate time to apologize. And that's okay. Do it if it's appropriate. Apologize. Get it over with. If it's a coworker, if it's something stupid, if it's a neighbor, something that's been lingering for a long time that you can just like, come on, it's time, or you kind of have that little thing in the back of your mind going, okay, this is really kind of lame now, or I don't even remember why I'm mad at this person. It's time. Simple apology. Hey, I'm sorry that happened. Let's move on. But sometimes you can't apologize. That person is no longer here. That person is toxic and no longer in your life, and that's great. Apologize to yourself. Forgive yourself. We hang on to too much stuff that is not necessary to keep dragging into the next day, just like Elizabeth Smart's mom said. Don't give it one more day. Let it go. Let it go, right? We hear that. Let it go. That's really what it's all about. Don't bring it into tomorrow. Tomorrow is like all set and ready to be a beautiful day, and you're going to drag in that pain and problem and hate and resentment from today, from last week, from last year, from 10 years ago. Let tomorrow be a fresh new day. Sometimes we could feel empathy for the person who has hurt us. That is really hard to do. And sometimes we have to have an experience where we can look into their life and see why they make the choices they did. Why are they where they're at in their life? And that's okay. Sometimes we don't get that opportunity, but understand if someone's hurt you and done something to you, that usually hurt people, and there's a reason behind their behavior. And maybe we could just feel a touch of empathy for that little child inside of them that was hurt, that makes them go on and be kind of a crappy person now. Have a little empathy and understanding of maybe that their path isn't the same as yours and they do dumb stuff. And finally, to write a letter. I'm a journal writer, and to be able to just write it out and just vent it out, type it out, whatever it is, get it out. Just write a letter, get it out. And then you can burn it, you can throw it away, you can rip it up, you can save it, you can send it. I prefer not to send it. I don't think that solves anything, but get rid of it. Get all that out. Just get it out of your body onto paper and then destroy the paper. Oh my goodness, so freeing. But be gentle with yourself. Really, that's the biggest thing. Is I'm sure there's some things that you need to forgive yourself for. Forgive yourself for not knowing what you know now. Forgive yourself for choices you've made that you know now probably weren't the best choices, but at the time, maybe you didn't know. And it's okay. Be gentle to that little kid inside of you and be forgiving. It's a lot happier place to live. So the F's in gifts, forgiveness. That's a tough one. Again, pick something, pick one thing. Maybe your mind is more open to just the idea of setting the water bottle down. If that's all you can do, just go, you know what? I'm not going to bring that hate into tomorrow. Try that. Okay. So T in gifts. This is about our thoughts. We have got to watch our thoughts. Oh my goodness. Just because we think it doesn't mean it's true. Did you know that? Not everything you think is true. And so I'm going to tell you a personal story of when I was a teenager. I was 16 years old and it was Thanksgiving. 2 days after Thanksgiving is Saturday evening. We get a knock at the door. Me and my four brothers and my mom were all home alone or home together. And the police come to our door and they tell us that they had just found our dad and he had died by suicide. That was a lot. Then it compounded with the suicide note that said, "Everyone will be better off without me." Not true. Not true at all. Yeah, he was struggling. He's going through a hard time, but that would all be over, you know? New days come, things change. But he was so overwhelmed and thought we'd all be better off without him. He'd be a great grandpa right now. Do you believe that? He's missed everything. He missed me graduating high school. He missed me getting married. He missed me having kids. And now my kids have gone in to have grandkids. He's missed it all because he thought we'd be better off without him. So I want to challenge you to question those thoughts, especially thoughts like that we think people would be better off without us. I actually did too. Like I said earlier, I was bullied so bad that I would spend every day trying to figure out how I could get out of this world and do the world a favor to not have to look at my ugly face anymore. And in fact, even with this presentation, it's like, oh, you're all being able to see me this whole time. And there's this part of me that's like, oh, right? It's still there. But we got to question those thoughts. Be like, stop. So here's some tips to help you. Would you say that to your best friend? And I hear that in my mind right now when I say, when I think, oh, I just hate the way this is, or I don't like this, or I'm not good enough, or I'm not this, I'm not that. What if my best friend said that? Oh, I'd be so mad. I'd be like, no way, that's not true at all. And I would try to fight her on it. I don't talk to my best friend that way. Or what if your child or a little child was saying some of the things that you say to yourself? Oh, no, 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 child. Don't be so mean. You're an amazing, beautiful, wonderful soul. Be kind to yourself. So, next time you have a thought and you think it's true because you thought it, question it and say, would I say that to my best friend? Would I say that to my child? Then stop saying it to yourself. Stop. So, another way to question your thoughts is to ask, where is the proof? So let's use my example of that I'm so ugly I shouldn't be alive anymore. Okay. That's a real thing. So I try to imagine being in a court of law, right? So we're all sitting there. You've got the judge, you've got the jury, and you've got your lawyer. And your lawyer's coming into the courthouse and they always bring in evidence, right? They've got their briefcases, they've got boxes, they're dragging in of evidence, the proof that your thought is true. So, what evidence would your lawyer have? What evidence does my lawyer have when he can open up that briefcase of I'm so ugly and I'm nothing and nobody cares about me? What evidence does he have to prove that that thought is true? Well, when I'm put on the spot like that, I can't think of anything. Oh, because some bully said it. That's his evidence. Boo. That wouldn't win a court case for nothing, right? Especially when the other side, the other lawyer can say, yes, but she is very much loved by her friends, by her family, by her grandma, by her neighbors. They all think she's amazing. Her teachers, everyone in her life thinks she's a beautiful, amazing, loving soul, right? Just because this one bully is saying something contradicting that we want to believe, or it's our own thoughts that being a bully to us, got to stop. Where's the proof? So find the proof to some of your thoughts. And if there is a whole briefcase full of proof, then maybe you can change those thoughts to something a little bit more positive, right? So take a moment and question your thoughts. Just because you think it doesn't mean it's true. And just watch. Watch what happens. Plus, you don't have to say it either. Just think it, let it go, roll it off. No more thinking negative thoughts like that, especially about yourself. You're awesome. You've got this. Look where you are right now. Hello. You're doing great. So be proud of that. Don't listen to those thoughts. Don't believe them. Okay. So the final thing, see everything as a gift. Oh man, is that hard? Is that hard, especially with something you might be going through right now? Yeah, there's some tough stuff we have to deal with, right? There's some things that are traumatic. There's some things that are hard. But if we can try to see everything as a gift, it's amazing how our minds open up, how our mindset changes when we're trying to see it as a gift. It takes some practice. I've been working on this. I have been studying happiness since 2011, 2010. So it's been a few years, right? I have been trying to study. I have gone and been trained by several people, and this one still gets me when something tragic happens to see it as a gift. That's tough. But think about something. Think about something that you were worried back a few years ago about. Because this is something my lemonade makers say every single time I talk to them on the lemonade stand. They shared their story, tragic, terrible, hard, challenging things. And what a gift it's been. Every single one of them can say that it's been a gift and that they wouldn't be where they are now. They wouldn't know what they know now. They wouldn't have what they have now, all the things without this tragic experience. Okay, another water break. Think back to the pandemic, right? Just a couple of years ago, 2020. Do you remember how scary things were then? Ooh, it's almost hard to remember. Like we couldn't come out of our houses. Like we had to run to the grocery store really quick and come home and sanitize all of our food and the bag. And we were wiping everything down constantly. Nobody could go anywhere or do anything. People couldn't go to work. People couldn't go to school. It was so scary. People were dying, right? Do you remember? Do you even remember? And it's only been a couple of years. And at the time, it was hard. It was tragic. It was scary. And now here we are a few years later. We're living our lives. We've got the vaccine and things have worked out, right? You can see it as a gift. Think of the things that came from the pandemic. First of all, hello, a little more hand washing, which is always better. We learned that we can be resilient. We learned that we can go to school and go to work without having to leave our houses. How cool is that? Look at what we are doing right now. We are having a big conference, meeting hundreds and thousands of us together without even being together. We couldn't have done this a couple of years ago. So, how cool is this? See these gifts that we have gotten from this tragic experience that happened. There's things the world have changed. One of the things that I really thought was a gift from the pandemic was how I learned to slow down, you know? Learn to just stop doing all the things. We were doing so many things. And it's like you're applauded if you never missed a day of work or never missed a day of school. You get an award. Oh, come to school sick. Spread your sickness to everyone. Come to work dying sick. Spread it to everyone. But way to go to be to work, and volunteer at things and get the kids to all the things and do all the things. And all of a sudden it all shut down. And I can tell you right now, I didn't pick up half of what I was doing. It's not that important to me anymore. I don't need to be spread that thin anymore. I didn't need to have my hands in all these things anymore. It gave me a good reset with the pandemic of just going, you know what? Let's pick what's most important and do that. And time with my family and doing some other hobbies and other things, that's what was most important. I was able to let other things go. So even the pandemic we can look at now and see it as a gift, right? You can see the good things that came from it. So I'm going to challenge you to little things that happen to see it as a gift. One of the things I am so bad, I say I am a recovering why me-er. Why me? Why did this happen to me? I take my vitamins. I say my prayers. I try to be a good person. Why me? Why? Why me? Why did it happen? So now I kind of think, why not me? Like, how am I any different from anybody else? Why not me? We're here on this life. We're here to learn. We're here to experience things. I need to grow and be strengthened and be pushed. Why not me? Right? Can you imagine looking at a situation like that when something hard happens to you and go, oh, why not? Or what about in a really good situation? What if you're on a vacation or you're playing with your kids or you're just having a really great moment, like at the movie theater, just relishing and just being out on a date or whatever it is? And would you think to yourself, why me? No, we love that. But why don't next time you try think that? Why me? Why am I having such a beautiful experience right now? Why am I enjoying this so much right now? Why is this happening to me? See, a little bit different way to look at it. And the other thing is to be aware of labels. So we do this all the time. We label stuff good and bad. We're constantly like, oh, this good thing happened to me, this bad thing happened to me. Or what if we use the word interesting? I was a realtor for 15 years, and it's very easy to call up your client and be like, oh, I've got some good news, or oh, I've got really bad news. But I learned to just say, I have interesting news. Because it might not be good or bad. We don't know for sure. What feels like bad news might not actually be bad news. It might be a blessing. It might be exactly what we need to get to another place in our life, right? So let's be aware of labels, of labeling stuff good and bad. And so it's great. The lender calls me and said, hey, we can't get the loan. So I can call my clients and be like, hey, I've got some interesting news. You can't get the loan for this house. But immediately their brains are thinking like, okay, why is this interesting news? What can I do with this? But if I called up and said, I've got really bad news, you can't get the loan for this house, then automatically you're victim. It's all put on you. You're run down. You're sad. You're feeling defeated. It's a totally different feeling, right? So let's be careful how we label things good and bad because it really, have you noticed this in your life? You'll label something as good or bad, and then a day or two or a week or two or a month or two later, you're like, "Ooh, that was actually really good that that happened," or "That was actually really bad that that happened," right? Right? So let's just say it's interesting. Interesting. And what can we learn? Sometimes we're in a situation and we're feeling super picked on, super bogged down, super heavy. This is terrible. I hate this. What if we thought, what can I learn from this? Why is this happening? And so instead of saying, why did this happen to me? We can say, why did this happen for me? why did this happen for me? What am I going to learn from this? How is this going to benefit my life? And really start analyzing it that way. Like, why is this for me? What can I learn from this? Instead of feeling that weight of picked on and heavy and hard and overwhelm. Why is this happening for me? It's the same kind of mindset switch that we can do, like, I get to go to work or I have to go to work. I get to make dinner for the family or I have to make dinner for the family. I get to go watch my kids play their sports or I have to go watch my kids play. Do you hear the difference? We get to or we have to. It's our mindset. It's how we think about things. So see it as a gift, and that will help you be able to process it of what you can learn from it and how your life is better because of what you're going through. So again, I hope this hasn't been too overwhelming. Like, I know it's a lot of stuff. I know there's been several things we talked about, from gratitude to seeing everything as a gift. I just want to challenge you to just maybe something really rang true to you today. Maybe there's something in your mind right now that you heard that you're like, I could do better at that. With gratitude, let's start looking at all the beautiful little things, littlest things in our lives that we have. And that will start turning your mind towards greater things, because what we focus on grows. What we focus on expands. So if you're looking for the good every day, that will spiral and expand to more good. Let's take care of our bodies inside and out. Work on your mind, work on your body, work on your soul. Make your body the best thing you have and just be grateful for it. You've got 2 hands, 2 feet, 2 eyes, mouth, ears. You've got all these working parts. Just enjoy them and relish in them and be so grateful for them. Got a beautiful body. And forgiveness. Take time. Do it. Do it. It's happening right now. You're thinking of something. Just forgive. Let it go. Set the water bottle down. It'll still be there. You can look at it later. It doesn't mean you forget. It doesn't mean you forget. You don't bring that person back in to have the poison anymore in your life. You don't need that, but you don't have to carry it anymore. Let it go. Thoughts. Let's check those thoughts. Don't believe everything you hear. Don't believe everything you think. So just because you thought it doesn't mean it's true. And look for the proof and hold on for one more day. If you're feeling overwhelmed, you're feeling like nobody cares, you're feeling like the world will be better off without you, that is not true. Listen to me. That is not true. Watch those thoughts and see everything as a gift. Learn that things are happening for you, things that will elevate your life in the future. And I really appreciate being able to share this time with you today. So thank you so much for being here. If you need to listen to any more uplifting stories, you can find it on Heidi's Lemonade Stand podcast. It's spelled weird, lemonade, A-I-D, like Band-Aid. And I just appreciate the time that I've been able to share this stuff with you and hope that something resonated with you. And I hope that we'll be in touch. Contact me. I'd love to hear from you. Have a great rest of the day.